Hey guys, Callum from Columbus Models here, and we are back with a brand new build video. It's been a while since my last one, but here we go. So this time we are going to be building this Heller 1-400 U-Boat, the Type 7C, as part of the Collection Historique collection here. I don't actually know what that means. I just bought this online for a pricely sum of about $10, but I mainly bought it because I really like the Type 7C U-Boats, one of my favorite ones. So a U-Boat in 1-400 scale means that the entire model is only about 176 millimeters long, which is not that big, and it only comes with 34 pieces, with a few of them we won't be using. As this particular kit comes with two types of Type 7 U-Boats. You have the standard Type 7C and the Type 7C 41. So the instructions come in this fold out with colored photos just to show the colors for everything, which is quite nice. You have the two types of conning towers here, the Type 7C and the Type 7C 41, which shows a elongated conning tower and the deck gun moved from the deck onto the back rear of the conning tower. As you can see here, Type 7C 41 with the longer Type 7C Standard. I will be building the Type 7C Standard because I just prefer that one. I prefer the look of it. And also, when I was having a look at these instructions, I noticed something that interested me. So here we have a whole bunch of different U-boat marks. U-1061, U-179. The one that I was drawn to, though, was U-96, which a few movie buffs around here might recognize if you are that much of a nerd like I am. U-96 was the U-boat from the famous 80s movie Das Boot. So I couldn't really pass that one up. So I'm going to be recreating a scene from Das Boot using this Heller kit. And the scene that I'm going to be representing is the scene that after U-96 has been depth charged, they resurface after getting the engines start working. So here's all the parts that we're going to be needing. Not many parts to them, so we'll just get straight into it, shall we? So first off, surprise surprise, we have the two hull halves. So these two halves went together fairly well, although there were a little bit of pressure needed around. They were somewhat warped, but nothing too bad, just plenty of extra thin cement and some pressure held them together fairly nicely. The shape of the model here is actually really good for a U-boat, and things surprisingly went well for a Heller kit, which yes, I've built one or two Heller kits, and if you know, you know, with Heller. Up next, you put on the deck, the top deck of the U-boat. I was thinking of keeping this separate and painting it because originally the instructions say that it has a wood-colored deck. So I was going to paint that separately. But when I dry fit it, I realized there's a whole bunch of gaps here that need to be filled, and a whole bunch of you can see here it's not a perfect fit, so it needed a bit of work to it. If it was pre-painted beforehand, then it would just look pretty bad. Apart from the fact that U-96 and a lot of U-boats didn't actually have wood-colored decks. Up next, we add on the props and the vertical stabilizers. So the rear ones, these control your up and down, as well as putting the rudder on as well. On the back there as well, you will see the single torpedo tube for the rear for when they're running away. Next up is the conning tower. This conning tower is very, 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 very basic. There's not much to this, hence why I wanted to do a little bit of weathering just to try and hide some of the basicness of it. I did make a mistake here. I added on the periscope, not realizing until too late that U-96 didn't have its periscope up during the scene, but that's all good. You'll also notice here the rear of the conning tower does not have the classic handrails for the Type 7C, which you'll normally see. Right now, just adding on the deck gun, which was fairly good, although I did have to widen the hole a bit. It didn't quite fit properly and flush. You can see it's taken a while to even get it straight and level, and it didn't have too many good contact points, so This one I almost took out a few times when building. Up next, unifying the whole U-boat with a layer of primer. This is a light grey primer, and eventually I'll put over about the same tone of Tamiya enamel paint over the top as a base tone. Of course, this is a two-toned U-boat, so I'm going to be going with a light grey and a sort of dark grey, charcoal-y blue colour onto the bottom. You'll see here off camera, I built up the iconic handrails for the back of the conning tower. I did this off camera because it was a real pain in the nuts, to be honest. I had to stretch out some sprue and then get it to curve around and then cut little bits off and glue it down. And this was about the third attempt I had at this, and yes, it looks all damaged and wonky, but that's what it usually looks like after a depth charge attack, is what the excuse I'm gonna go with. Although it did fit quite well with if you have a look at the actual scene from Das Boot. Up next, doing the bottom half now with a very dark blue charcoal-y sort of colour. I've seen a few different people build U-boats with different levels of grey and blue and stuff. So at that point I kind of just went, screw it, I'll go with what I think looks cool. I'm not really known for doing things, too realistic. And of course, you always have to leave in the satisfying scenes of the masking tape being peeled off, especially for this very straight line. I'll just shut up now and let you guys enjoy it. Up next is the decals for U-96, the Laughing Swordfish it is called. However, the Heller kit, you have a swordfish on either side of the conning tower. However, Heller just printed the same decal over, so one of them ends up having to be upside down if you want pointing the right way, which is facing forward. However, in this scale you don't really notice it too much. And after that, just got a clear gloss varnish over everything, and I can just do a little bit of panel lining just to bring out what very little detail there is. You'll also see that I painted the vent bolt bits of the U-boat where water comes out when they surface. I don't know the actual names for them, and I don't want to look them up, so this scene might accidentally give you guys an illusion I know what I'm doing and talking about. Hate to have that. However, didn't go too overboard with the panel liner, just because this is going to be in a water-based scene. And after cleaning that up, went through with some black pigment powder to try and recreate the depth charge blast pattern as seen on the movie. Of course, I'm not basing this off a real-life U-boat, I am basing it off a movie scene, so I am using my references off said movie scene. This totally wasn't an excuse just to watch Das Boot for the 10th time in my life. I mean, it's always good to have user references. Just adding a little bit of white just for the closer damage. It's just something I noticed on the scene. As you can see here, it's not entirely all black. You do see the some white in it. You'll also notice that in the movie, the Laughing Swordfish is black and the decal is green. And lastly, for most of the painting, I am just going to add on a bit of rust effects. Not too much, because at this scale you don't see too much anyway. I just wanted to break up the grey tone just a little bit more, just to give a little bit of visual interest, show that it has been in the water for a bit of time and it hasn't been cleaned in a while. It's been on a patrol or something like that, so you do get rust accumulating here and there, but I don't want to go overboard. Not for the scale. It's just become a bit too much. With the U-boat done, it's now time to move on to the base. So using my normal trick of tinfoil, first off building up some waves. I happened to just find this bit of styrofoam at home that had a slot that just happened to fit a U-boat in it quite nicely, so decided to use that. Then I used a single sheet of crumpled tinfoil over the top just to create the surface of the water and to give some ripple effects. because of course this is in the middle of the Atlantic, not really known for being the calmest of seas. Here we have, hence why you have the two waves. And about now I decided to put the base sides on, just so for the next step of the acrylic gel it won't leak around anywhere. This is using foam board cut up, and I am just using double-sided tape to hold it down. I didn't want to super glue it, just in case I needed to pull it off for any reason at all. It just makes life a bit easier instead of destroying everything with super glue. And also super glue would melt the styrofoam. Up next, using a very dark blue bordering on charcoaly black, because this is a night scene, so I don't want the water to be vibrantly blue. And just going over with a couple of glazes. I didn't want to go too heavily and flood the tinfoil too much. I did give the tinfoil a prime of matte varnish as well to give it some grip. Next up, using AK still water gel effects just to create the surface of the water. I also don't color this because with water you don't start seeing color in water until much deeper, so I wanted to give that effect of the top being a bit clearer. This also just smooths out the wave ripples, as you can see here. Now I'm just using cotton wool and filling it into the gaps where the U-boat will be sitting, as this will be where the water has been disturbed by the U-boat surfacing and starting to move forward with the bow wake and stuff like that. This is just it's a bit of a different way than what I've been used to doing water bases with, and I figured I'd just give it a try. I've seen other people do this, so using AK still water as a glue, and as well as just blending it into the rest of the scene. I don't want it too harsh between cotton wool and water gel effects. It also just helps to glue it down, by the way. It does take a bit of prodding with tweezers and a brush just to align the cotton wool where I want it, and just try and get it to blend in a bit nicer. Then after that I got an extra bit of cotton wool and twisted it up, and this will be the main bow wave and water disturbance splashing that you'll see. And again, this will just be glued down with AK still water, and it just allows me to manipulate it as well into something a bit better. And of course, what is classic with a U-boat, especially the Type 7, is when they surface you'll see the water rushing out of the bilges and stuff like that when it surfaces. So I thought I'd just try something I've never done before, which is this sort of spilling water effect, just with a bit of cotton wool that's been stretched out. Worked better than I thought it would. You guys can tell me what you guys think of it. And then lastly, to finish off the water effects, you with some acrylic white paint, just dabbing it along the tops of the waves. This effect shows that the wind is blowing from behind the U-boat. So you'll see more waves being pushed forward and rolling over the top forward, so that's where you get the whitewash and stuff. And just using some water to blend it in and thin it out, and I don't want to have the bottom of the wave too stark with a harsh line. Again, still trying to figure out this kind of water-based stuff, but it's an effect that I'm quite enjoying, so probably expect a few more of these, just because I'm having fun with just experimenting with it. And lastly, to finish off this fairly quick build, to be honest, I just painted the sides of the base black. And with that, we are all on to the reveal. And just one final thing to say, that I have launched a Patreon. This is because I've started doing a whole bunch of 3D design work for STL printing and stuff like that, and I figured, well, I've got an account on Colts 3D under Columbus Models, but if you want to add that extra support for $4 a month, that's $4 New Zealand, by the way, you can have access to every single file that I produce. So, yeah, join me on Patreon if you want to show some support. And that is it for the Heller 1:400 scale U-Boat Type 7C, based off the movie Das Boot U-96, in the scene where it is surfacing after being depth charged and they manage to get things working again so they can make their escape home under the cover of night. Overall, for what I paid for it, I think I paid less than $10 for the kit, and considering the low part count and how it went together, I'm actually pretty impressed with this kit, to be honest. So I hope you guys enjoyed what I did here. Hope you guys will enjoy my other videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next build. Bye for now.